Hey guys, I'm Ubiru and welcome back to World of Warships. So over this weekend I'll be doing two short reviews on the lowest tiered premium ships in the game, the USS Albany Tier 2 American Cruiser and the Tier 3 Russian cruiser, the Aurora. So today we'll start with the Albany. So this is the USS Albany, the Tier 2 American Cruiser. It's the first premium ship available in the American tier line and it costs 500 doubloons. Now being such a low tier, you'd expect it to have very little armour, very little top speed and very poor firepower. This ship pretty much ticks all those boxes. It's not a very good ship overall, but it does have good concealment. So the first stat of the Albany is survivability, and that's 18 out of 100. This thing has up to 16,500 health, which a tier 2 is alright. Unfortunately, you can't see armor specifics at the moment, but you can assume that this ship has pretty terrible armor, being only tier 2. In terms of artillery firepower, it has 31 score. Maximum firing range is only 6.3 kilometers, which is one of the worst in the game. Does have good firepower, however, in comparison to the American Tier 2 tier line ship and the Japanese Tier 2 cruiser as well. It has 6x1 152mm guns and secondary armament of 4x1 120mm guns. In terms of damage, the guns go to 2,200 damage with high explosive and up to 3,000 damage with armor piercing. It has a rate of fire of 7.5 rounds per minute and a turn time of 22 seconds, which is quite good. The secondary armament only goes to a maximum distance of 2 kilometers, so the secondary armament is almost pointless. So the weakest part about artillery firepower in this ship is the maximum distance. When you have the tier line American cruiser going in excess of 9.3 kilometers, this is at a massive disadvantage. The next stat is anti-air capability, and this ship has a score of 1. It is terrible in almost every respect. This thing can shoot down no planes. In the matchmaking in this thing though, you'll never ever see planes. Planes only go from tier 4 onwards. This thing is a tier 2 ship, limited at tier 3 matchmaking, so you'll never ever see planes. I just think they should take away the anti-air capability altogether. That one score is completely irrelevant. So maneuverability is the next stat, and we have 27 out of 100, so not very good. Maximum speed of 20 knots, that's about the same speed as some of the slowest ships in the game, including the American low-tiered battleships. A turning circle radius, however, of 350 meters, so that's very, very quick, and a rudder shift time of 9.2 seconds, so quite respectable there. The maneuverability score of 27 mainly reflects its top speed of 20 knots. This thing's not going anywhere in a hurry, but everything from sort of tier 4 and below don't go to very good top speeds anyway. And the last stat which this thing really excels in is concealment, and it has 80 out of 100. Surface detectability range of 8.8 kilometers and air detectability range of 4.1 kilometers. But this thing can be quite sneaky. You'll notice a lot of the low tier ships in the game from sort of tier 3 and below are quite stealthy, except for the St. Louis and of course the tier 3 Aurora. So the stats for the Albany in comparison to the other tier 2 ships aren't bad, but it's a tier 2 ship, so of course it's going to be terrible in comparison to everything else. Of course it's a premium ship, so you have no upgrades, except for one credible upgrade which I've chosen, which is the main battery modification 1, which decreases the chance of magazine detonation, decreases the chance of critical damage to main batteries, and minus 20% to main battery repair time. So in the low tier matches, people fire high explosive almost all the time, and of course your guns will be knocked out, so this thing just reduces that by 20%. So the Albany is a very slow ship with a very poor maximum range. The ship can be good if you have preferential matchmaking. If you somehow get into tier 3 games, this is an absolute nightmare to play. So let me show you a game in the Albany. Okay, this is the USS Albany on Island's standard battle. So as you can see, we have quite preferential matchmaking, quite a lot of tier 1s on the enemy team. The Eries and the Katoris, they haven't got an awful lot of armor, and they can be very easily killed in the Albany. So from what I've seen from the games I've played, the Albany doesn't have an awful lot of armor. Of course, there used to be armor specifics with the descriptions of the ships, but they've taken that down for now. So it's kind of hard to tell if it has good armor or not. So the Islands map is a low tier match for low tier ships only. So I'm going to head towards the middle of the map and try and stick with allies. Of course, this game is very much team-based. It's very easy to go on your own and to do a full YOLO Leroy Jenkins and die. If you stay with your team, the chances of winning goes up dramatically. So the maximum distance of these guns is only 6.3 kilometers, which is terrible. It's one of the worst in the game, if not the worst. So you have to get very close to enemies in order to do anything at all. In comparison to the other 2-tier ships in the game, the Chester, the Tier 2 American Cruiser, has a maximum gun range of 9 kilometers. So the Albany is at such a disadvantage that 6 kilometers is really practically nothing. You have that good concealment, but the concealment only goes to 8.8 kilometers, so still you're at a disadvantage irrespective of that. So there are lots of enemies lurking around their cap. Of course, you can't spot them yet because the acquisition range of these low-tier ships is so bad. We have to try and get lucky with some destroyers to spot them early. But even if they spot them, I still can't fire at them with these very poor maximum range on guns. So there's the first enemy ship, the Kotori, and it's 7.5 kilometers away. Still can't fire on him just yet. There's another enemy there just behind the rock, 7.6 kilometers away. The Erie is just behind him, only 6.6 kilometers away, so this guy is kind of pointless firing him. We fired one shot to see if we can get the arc over the rock, but of course we missed. There's another enemy to my left. The Erie is only 5.8 kilometers away, just behind that rock, so once we emerge behind this rock, we can fire a couple of shots on him. So the full broadside of the Albany is only 4 turrets, 4 guns. Firing a couple of high explosive rounds. High explosive tends to be better in the low tier matches, I've noticed. Even if you hit anyone with armor piercing, it still doesn't do an awful lot of damage. So firing again, missed by hitting that rock, not too bad. So the Erie is about to emerge, going to fire full broadside onto this guy. He's only 4.3 kilometers away. Of course, when they're this close distance, you don't lead your shots, you pretty much aim where they are as opposed to where they're going. The Kotori we were attacking a second ago is now emerging, only 5 kilometers away, so he is within distance. Going to fire a couple of shots, but he is going to a complete stop for some reason. Going to fire again. The rate of fire of these guns is quite good at 7.5 rounds per minute. Going to turn this thing around to try and avoid shots from him and maybe get a good side onto the Erie when we get around there any second. So 5.5 kilometers away now. Going to fire a couple of shots again. High explosive all the way, 700 damage. And we missed the other 2 shots, but now he seems to be moving. So the Kotori does have some good firepower, but of course he's a tier 2, and here come the torpedoes. We knocked out his engine, set him on fire, and the ally finished him off. So the Erie is left 5.5 kilometers away, just emerging behind that rock again. He does seem to be turning towards us, so that's good for our guns. I do make the mistake here of leading the shots a bit too excessively. I'm so used to firing at such long distance that I didn't lead them especially well here. So 5.6 kilometers away, going to fire a couple more shots. 1,000 damage. Of course, 1,000 damage with 2 shots is quite good in these low tier matches with everyone having health of 20,000 health or less. So again and again, 700 damage, 300 damage, so another 1,000 there. He's taking damage from some allies as well. Now he's turning to avoid the rock. He's fired onto us, he knocked out one of our guns, we fired, we missed, repaired the guns, he's turning again very sharply left, so that's good for us. Going to fire a couple more shots, in they go, 300 damage there, turning this thing around to get a full broadside on him as quick as possible, shots going in, 300 damage, 500 damage, and we finished him off with a 600 damage hit. So quick damage in quick succession. So this thing, despite it having poor maximum distance on guns, it can do a big amount of damage within a short duration on the very low tiered ships. So at this point in the match, we have a massive advantage. We're winning by a huge margin. There's only 3 remaining ships. This one here, which is the Kotori, 6.8 kilometers away, so he is turning away from my guns. And of course, this ship goes to a terrible maximum speed of 20 kilometers, so I'll never ever catch up with him. He's being surrounded by Umikaze and some other allied cruisers. Torpedoes incoming, and they finished him off. And then ally got the devastating strike and high caliber achievements. So there are only 2 ships remaining, a destroyer and a cruiser, and they're both on my left. The enemy destroyer just put down some smoke, so he is hidden from cover. He can't see me though because of my very high concealment. And there is the cruiser, 6.3 kilometers away. He's behind that rock, gonna fire when he emerges. I'm firing a couple of shots preemptively. Of course, I have that very good rate of fire of 7.5 rounds per minute, so I thought he'd be going a lot faster than he was, so of course I fired and I missed. Shots going in again. Now I know what speed he's going at, so I'm going side onto this guy, firing a full broadside. He's only 5.2 kilometers away. Shots going in, 700 damage there, 700 damage again. So it seems the average damage with these guns on that armor is 700 damage. So we've got 2 hits in quick succession, 1,400 damage. He hasn't got an awful lot of health left. He did fire some torpedoes, but they have missed. In they go, 1,000 damage. Turning side onto him again from my right side to get my 4 guns onto him as quick as possible. Firing again with my 2 front guns. In they go. Critical damage, knocked out his engines, now he's just dead in the water. Gonna try and finish him off with the last couple of shots before the allies do. Firing again, in they go, and we finished him off. And there is the destroyer, 5.2 kilometers away. He's moving very, very fast, so I have to lead these shots exceptionally well. Missed that time, he's very close to the waterline, so it's very hard to get a good shot. I'm going straight onto him now. He probably has deployed some torpedoes, so I'm getting ready to avoid them when they come nearby. 4.1 kilometers away. Oh, I missed that shot. 700 damage. Critical damage, we have knocked out his engine. You can see by the fire coming out of his towers. He's invisible again, he's covered by smoke. Firing again, shots going in. At this point I'm turning left and right to get my 2 back guns firing on him as well. Shots going in, it seems like he has repaired his engine. He is moving very, very fast and there's no fire coming out of the towers. So he is very close to the waterline, going to turn very sharply left and right to hopefully avoid some torpedoes. Here they come. Oh, very close, but he did miss. So now he's reloading his torpedoes. He has nothing else except for main armament, and main guns of Japanese destroyers is usually very, very bad. It's kind of hard to get some good shots at this point because he is so low to the water. We knocked out a gun there, 600 damage. Torpedoes coming in, turning very sharply right, decreasing speed, and then we're safe. So now he only has a third of his health left. Now he's completely side on to us, so we have a very big advantage here. He has no torpedoes ready, he did just fire a spread, and of course his other one was destroyed. And now he's taking lots and lots of damage from me and my allies behind me. Hit him again, critical hit, knocked out his torpedoes. He only has around 100 health left, firing the last shots, hit the back. Just before the torpedoes managed to hit us, we finished him off with that last shot. So it was a good game. In total we got 121,000 credits, 2,300 experience, 115 free experience, 50 hits, 6 critical hits, 3 destroyed, and 2 set on fire. In terms of team experience, we came second top with 1,540, and the best was the Umikaze with 1,800 experience. So in terms of damage, with main batteries, I got 25,000 with high explosive. I didn't fire a single armor-piercing round in that game, and I got 244 with fire. So it's a good game overall. In my opinion, the Albany is very hard to play with that very poor maximum range on guns. So this has been the USS Albany, the Tier 2 American Premium Cruiser. It's not the best ship in the game. It has a very, very poor maximum distance on guns, only 6.3 kilometers. But when you get within close distance of enemies, you can pepper them with your high amount of guns and secondary armament. The best part about this ship probably is either the turning circle radius or the high concealment. If you didn't have that high concealment, then you'll be easily spotted by enemy ships, and you would very quickly die without even ever firing a shot. So this thing can be good in some situations. When you play this thing, I recommend staying with allies in the low tier matches. If you go in on your own, you'll be peppered from beyond your maximum range, and you will die very quickly. So the Albany is 500 doubloons, or gold, or whatever you want to call it, and it is in the tech trees. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.